Ramana Maharshi's teachings. An American engineer had a conversation with Ramana Maharshi. He asked, "Does distance have any effect upon grace?" Maharshi, "Time and space are within us. You're always in yourself. How do time and space affect it?" Visitor, in radio, those who are nearer hear sooner. You are Hindu. We are American. Does it make any difference? Maharshi, no. This was part of the conversation that the American engineer had with Maharshi. From this conversation, one thing is very clear. Ramana Maharshi's grace is available to everyone equally, at all times, everywhere. This great Guru's grace is beyond the limitations of gender, race, religion, culture, social status, places, and languages. We now know about Ramana Maharshi's grace. But when we look into this a little deeper, the following question arises. Why is this engineer so concerned about receiving Ramana Maharshi's grace? Why is he making sure that he will get Ramana Maharshi's grace? To explain this, let me offer you the teachings of the great master himself on the subject of grace from a few conversations he had with some devotees. A conversation. Maharshi, divine grace is essential for realization. It leads one to God realization. But such grace is vouchsafed only to him who is a true devotee or a yogin who has striven hard and ceaselessly on the path towards freedom, liberation. Visitor, is not the Master's grace the result of God's grace? Maharshi, why distinguish between the two? The Master is the same as God and not different from God. Here is another conversation. Visitor, is a master necessary for self-realization? Maharshi, self-realization is the result of the Master's grace, more than teachings, lectures, meditation, and so on. They are only secondary aids, whereas the Master's grace is the primary and the essential cause. Visitor, what are the aids for realization? Maharshi, the teachings of the scriptures and of self-realized souls. Visitor, can such teachings be discussions, lectures, and meditations? Maharshi, yes, all these are only secondary aids, whereas the essential is Master's grace. Finally, here is another conversation that explains grace of the Guru or God. Visitor, what is Guru's grace? How does it work? Maharshi, Guru is the Self. Visitor, how does it lead to self-realization? Maharshi, Ishvaro Gururatmeti. God is the same as Guru and the Self. A person begins with dissatisfaction. Not content with the world, he seeks satisfaction of desires by prayers to God his mind is purified, he longs to know God more than to satisfy his carnal desires. Then God's grace begins to manifest. God takes the form of a guru and appears to the devotee, teaches him the truth, purifies the mind by his teachings and mental contact. The mind gains strength and is able to turn inward. With meditation, it is purified yet further and eventually remains still without the least ripple. That stillness is the self. The Guru is both exterior and interior. From the exterior, he gives a push to the mind to turn inward. From the interior, he pulls the mind towards the self and helps the mind to achieve quietness. That is grace. Hence, there is no difference between God, Guru, and the self. So, from these conversations, it becomes very clear that an enlightened, self-realized sage, such as Ramana Maharshi, who abides in perfect peace, is the personification of God, the Supreme Being. Therefore, when one has the amazing good fortune to come across such a sage's teachings, then wanting, longing, beseeching, and praying for his grace is the most important aid and a necessary and essential help for a spiritual seeker's progress. During meditation or self-enquiry, it is very important and extremely beneficial to think intensely about the Guru's transcendental presence and humbly requesting his forgiveness for our mistakes and praying for the Guru's grace and his help for spiritual progress and self-realization. Constantly remembering him and mentally chanting his name or the Ramana mantra, keeping his form in the mind, are also powerful practices to gain his grace. This is why the wise American engineer is asking Ramana Maharshi, the Guru of Gurus, the Sage of Sages, about receiving grace from him, because the devotee knows that without Guru's grace, one cannot make any progress in terms of getting mental peace and true happiness, knowing one's real self and abiding in it in perfect bliss.